recording right now. We'll have this available by tomorrow in the daily update. So a couple of general things to update you on, no particular order. Residential landscaping, we've got crews that started late last week going around doing irrigation checks. We actually have to check every single irrigation head on property to make sure there was no line breaks, issues, etc. So they're in the process of doing that now. They're making pretty good progress. They're over in the estate villa homes area, and they'll work their way throughout the rest of the community, checking and making repairs as needed. So hopefully that process won't take too long. Good news is they're not finding as many issues as they thought they were going to. So overall, I think we fared pretty well with our residential irrigation. Also, I know there's a lot of talk out there regarding drywall permitting. I'll give you an update on that. We're on our third round with Lee County, providing them with, it seems like, a new request each time we submit. We do think we finally provided them with the information that they're now requesting, and that all went to the permitting office yesterday. So we're confident we should see those permits soon. But just so everybody knows, while we're waiting on drywall permits, we're not waiting to hang drywall. There's nobody that's at a point yet to where drywall can actually be hung. A couple of communities, South Mont Cove in particular, they're the closest along in that process. But even before drywall is hung, part of the drywall phase is making sure the plumbing is repaired, having to put up insulation. They have to furry the walls so it can accept the baseboard trim. And then drywall will go up. So, I mean, nobody has been delayed in getting drywall while we wait through the permit process, but we do think we'll have those permits in place by hopefully the end of the week, and we won't have to wait on permitting when we're ready to hang drywall. Update on community pools. We are still waiting on equipment for both Wedgwood pools. It seems like each time Tyler and his staff figured out what was wrong, we get something replaced, and then we realize that there was something else wrong. And obviously equipment is a little bit tougher to get right now when it comes to pools. Everybody's looking for the same equipment, but we're waiting on a piece for each of the two Wedgwood pools. Hopefully we'll get that rectified shortly. Waterford, we had reported, was open and has been open. We've had pretty good progress at Sutton Walk, clearing debris out of that. They're actually power washing that today, and we hope to start filling that pool sometime tomorrow. Once that pool is filled, we can test the equipment. The good thing is the pump down there, which is one of the major pieces, it did fire up. You can test fire that without having water in the pool, and it did fire up. So we think the pump is good at Sutton Walk. So that should delay any major equipment repairs for that pool, but we'll know more as the week progresses. We are still waiting on parts for the spa at the Island Club, but the Island Club pool is open, just not the hot tub. And the main pool is open fully with the spa and the main pool at the clubhouse. So that's on my list. I see some of y'all have already chatted some questions. So just a reminder, if you've got questions, use the chat feature, and we'll try to get through all the questions we possibly can as we go through here. Question on when we expect to receive reports from the adjusters as we get closer to restoration. It would be helpful to know at least a ballpark. 100% agree with you. I don't have any new information, nor does the insurance carrier provide us information with when we're going to see those reports. It's not for the lack of trying. We go through both our insurance agent and your carriers directly to see if we can get any progress reports, but nothing has been given to us in terms of updates, and we've not received any of the reports yet. So I do not have an update on that, unfortunately. I'm hoping that once we start seeing reports come in, we see a bunch of them come in all at once. I'm assuming that's what we see. So I have cleaned and disinfected my condo storage unit. I have items stored in there. Can I lock it back up now? I think so. Yeah, I don't imagine why you couldn't. If you've cleaned out your storage unit and it's disinfected, shouldn't be any reason why we can't lock that up now. Any arrangements being made with salvage companies regarding removal of damaged appliances? No, we haven't done that because FEMA is handling that. I had mentioned on a previous Zoom that we did get confirmation that FEMA would do one complete lap, and I think they pretty much completed that lap here in Lexington. And once they give everybody a lap, they're going to come back for a second lap. So if you've got old appliances, you've got some time now to get them back out to the curb. And we should see FEMA again here, I would say, in a few weeks. I think that's probably realistic. The report that I got about a week ago said that FEMA was going to be done with their first loop in Lee County within 30 days. So if you back that timeline up, they should be starting second loops probably sometime second or third week of December. So you've got time to get those appliances out there and start a new pile. Yeah, our first floor units are destroyed. At the very least, Lexington should hire a company to put back toilets, tubs, appliances, and doors. We're on the first floor and suffering. I certainly feel your pain there, but the quickest way to get those things done is for you to hire your own company. I mean, the reality is for the association to do that, it would require in many cases you have to pick the tile that you want, the other decor that you want, the flooring that you want. So it's really not plausible that you all want that same thing. I will take a moment to update you that very good progress with 4 different companies that I've now spoken with and confirming details with and offering these packages, if you will, for those of you that don't want to subcontract out your own company and customize your finishes. And I think it's realistic to think in the next couple of weeks, we should be rolling out the information on that in terms of what these packages entail, the pricing for these packages, timelines, things like that. So very good progress so far with that. 4 different companies that have shown interest and I think could do the job. So I should have information on that in the coming weeks. The plumbing and electrical repairs do not need to be permitted. No, somebody just asked that question, but no, those damages do not. The reason we need a drywall permit, and I know there's plenty of information you can get from social media, maybe that's contrary to this, but the reason we need a drywall permit is because anytime you do more than 100 square feet of drywall repair in a unit, it requires a permit. So, and I can tell you, everybody that needs drywall is getting more than 100 square feet of drywall in their unit. So that's why permitting is needed for drywall. When drywall is installed, will it just be with a skim coat or a texture? It will not be texture. We've mentioned that before. The texturing process of the drywall would happen in restoration. So the unit will be turned back over to the owner once the drywall's up with a skim coat and sanded. It'll be ready for paint or ready for texturing if you decide to do that. How can I dispose of tubs, sinks, and countertops I do not want to reuse? Again, those are all things that can go in a pile for FEMA to pick up. They're asking that those things are in separate piles. So debris in one pile, housing remnants in another. This would be a housing remnant. Appliances in a third pile. But you can restart those piles. Just be cautious as you restart piles. We saw a lot of issues with FEMA breaking water mains. So don't set the piles close to water mains. Don't set the piles on top of irrigation heads. Make sure you start a pile where you can envision that claw truck easily grabbing that. I mean, I'm sure you all saw those trucks in the community and how they pick this stuff up. So if you've got stuff under a carport, that doesn't make it easy for them to pick it up. And sometimes they skip it. Underneath trees is not a good idea to pile things either. So just be as smart as you can with starting new piles. And then if there's already a pile out there, feel free to add to that, even if it's just a little bit out of the way. That would be a lot better as well. Sutton Walk 911, there is garbage and debris in the entrance planters. Nothing has been touched. I mean, if you want to send a work order in on that, we can direct crews over there, but that service ticket is the best way to handle those things. Who will be responsible to repair the drain pipe where my tub was removed? The pipe was broken, part still attached to the tub, the other sticking out of the floor. When Clyde Johnson's group is done with this, they would have repaired any plumbing or electrical issue. So that'll be done prior to the unit completing remediation. With the Bass Road Library closed to run FEMA, they're unable to check out books. Is there any way the Lexington Library could just have a few boxes somewhere in the community so that we have some reading material? I could definitely look into that. I can tell you, I was down Bass Road last week, and it looks like FEMA and all those insurance companies have pulled up stakes there. I don't see them there anymore. I'm not confirming that, but I know that parking lot was filled with all those trailers in the past. So I don't know. I mean, if you've got more information than I do, I certainly respect that, but I'm not so sure the library may not be opened or opening soon because it doesn't look like they're doing as much activity there. CJC did excess damage to units on Bridgestone Court that did not need to be done per 3 contractors. How do we get someone from CJC to take a look and determine how they will give restitution for such damage that was not necessary? So your association boards are not taking direction from contractors. They're taking direction from both the insurance adjusters and the independent experts that have guided this. And they've been in conjunction the entire time with both of those entities, as well as CJC, as to what needs to be remediated. I'm sure we can find plenty of contractors that told everybody that we did this wrong. Unfortunately, that's not who your association has to abide by during this process. As we've mentioned before, they have to follow the standards and the instructions of the experts and this insurance claim. If they don't follow it, they jeopardize this insurance claim. And for most of you, you're talking about millions of dollars in insurance claim money. So quite honestly, it really doesn't matter what a couple of contractors are saying. And I'm sure contractors are going to come in and tell you that somebody did something wrong. That's normal. I hear that all the time, but they're not taking direction from contractors. And if we're talking about Bridgestone Court, I don't think there's any question the amount of water that was taken at Bridgestone. I mean, the reports are a 12-foot storm surge out there. I mean, we had watermarks in units 56 inches high. So Bridgestone is certainly not one of the areas that there's any question as to the amount of water that got into these units and the amount of remediation that's necessary. I've heard nothing on the progress at Waterford for a few weeks. Are they still sending updates? I'm sure they are. I'm just trying to think the last time I saw a Waterford update. I do know that they've got a weekly meeting later today with Clyde Johnson's group and their team. So I would say probably expect a status update later this week for sure, in case they missed one last week or if I missed it. I think I've answered those last 2 questions. Yeah, there's no update on the Southmont Cove elevators. What's been reported before is, they were able to get some elevators up and running, but there really was no guarantee that they would stay up and running. And I'm sure some of you have seen this with your AC units and these electrical components, whereas they may work now as that salt water begins to corrode that, they could go back down. So, I mean, if an elevator goes down, they're going to do what they can within reason to try to repair it. But I think what's probably going to happen in most of these associations is it's going to be much more economically feasible and smarter to refurbish these elevators as opposed to try to repair them all. But they're doing their best to try to get them operational. But there's really no guarantee that they will be. You want us to hire our own contractor, but we can't begin any work until drywall is hung. How are we supposed to proceed? I guess you're going to proceed as soon as the unit is completed with remediation. I mean, that's the best answer that I have for you. And I understand, I get it that everybody, I do too, wants this to go faster, but I'm having a hard time, wrapping my head around comparing how quickly or not quickly we're going to anything else that we've ever experienced. I mean, for anybody saying we're not going fast enough, I don't know what you're comparing that to, unless you've done remediation of 500 association units after a Category 4 hurricane. So trust me, I want it to go faster too, and nobody's taking their foot off the gas. But what's being done is being done, and we have to do it right. And there's a process to everything. And as soon as your association has information and guidance that can provide you with a confirmed timeline in terms of when they're going to be completed, I don't believe they're going to send anything out, because I think we do just as much damage putting out an arbitrary timeline and then have to retract that down the road and say, well, no, it's taking longer than that. My unit did not need drywall removal or replacement. I came and did a lot of remediation and some restoration. As I understand it now, all I need is lower cabinets and vanities. I was told by Clyde Johnson that they would complete my unit, but don't know for sure if they will or when they will. When will I be able to stay in my unit? I will come back and complete my unit when I can. So yeah, I think we were upfront with those of you that did take advantage of doing your own restoration. And if you confirm that by the deadlines your association took, that you could do that. But at some point in time, Clyde Johnson, their group would have to confirm what was done. And if it was found that there were things that weren't completed with your company, then Clyde Johnson would complete them. But they're not going to pull off of what they're doing to run over and complete one unit. You're going to basically come back in the same order that everybody else is in that area. And that's what they're doing, is working different areas with different crews. So I can't give you a specific date on when you would be done, but it's probably going to be around the same time that the rest of those units or that building is done in your area. What is the basic program that the package will be? We'll want to match our existing cabinets and tile if possible. Does the blanket flood insurance coverage cover at least some of our costs? Yeah, so if you want to do any sort of matching, then this basic package is not going to be for you. The basic package is simply what it says. It's a package where you're not going to get a lot of customization. You may get a couple of choices in color of flooring. You may get a couple of choices in color of countertops, but essentially the cabinetry, the type of flooring, the trim, the interior doors are all going to be the same. So any sort of customization, you're going to want to hire your own contractor. I think we've put out plenty of information on what the flood coverage has in it. And it's out there on the website. But it covers pretty much anything that was remediated from your unit. There's coverage there. We don't know the coverage amounts or what's listed in there until we get those reports. My refrigerator isn't working, and I don't know about some of my other appliances since we do not have electricity. Do I have to have a tech come in and look at them, or can I just replace them and get reimbursed? So we'll try this again. The refrigerators, if you want to replace them, that is certainly up to you to replace them. We believe that those refrigerators are going to be covered on the insurance coverage. What we don't know is if adjusters just wrote off or wrote on all those appliances, or whether they actually checked to see if they were working. But we do know that if you lose a refrigerator because of the surge, it's going to have coverage. We just don't know if it's going to be on this first report or not, because if the adjuster checked your fridge, and some may have done this, and saw that it was working, he may not have wrote that in his report. But if it has since broken down, then there'll be a process to put that back on the claim down the road. So we've said from the beginning, if you've got an appliance that's not working, feel free to proceed with replacing it and just hang on to your receipts. I don't have an update on when the electrical outlet installation and furring will happen in Waterford, but that may be part of what's discussed at their meeting today, and maybe there'll be an update on that here shortly from Waterford. I don't have any, I'm going to skip over any other elevator questions because what I just responded to for Southmont Cove holds true to all of the elevators. It's the same process. If something goes down, they're going to try to send a crew out there and perform a fix if possible. But the reality is some of these elevators that got working are probably going to stop working. It's just the reality of what we're dealing with. It's very possible. So we've advised everybody, if you get in an elevator, make sure you got your cell phone with you. Just in case something happens and it stops, you can make a phone call because that could happen. If the only reason drywall needs permitted is it's over 100 square feet, then why does any other part of restoration need permitted? Cabinet doors, trim, tile, etc. do not need permitted normally. Don't even require an A&E. The link provided to Lee County requirements is very vague. Well, again, I mean, you guys can continue to debate this in social media if you want. I'm just letting you know what Lee County says. We've confirmed it with council. We have to have a drywall permit if it's over 100 square feet. Any of you all that have any other expert information on this, feel free to share it amongst yourselves, but we need a permit for drywall. I can't explain why we need it other than we need it and we applied for it. So I'm not going to take any more drywall questions. I think we've pretty much beat that dead horse. Can we get a number to the adjuster? I don't have a number to the adjuster. None of the adjusters gave me their numbers. There will be a point in time where once we're able to send these reports to you, we will have some process in place where you can file what's called supplemental claims. If you need to go back and say, wait a minute, they didn't list this on the report, or they only gave me this amount to replace this, and I know that it costs more. There's an opportunity to do that. We have up until a year from the event date to do that. So when the AC condenser does fail, what documentation will need to submit for insurance claims? I've just advised people to make sure that your contractor notes that the unit went down because of the storm surge or saltwater intrusion. I mean, I think that's more than sufficient in terms of AC units. What's the plan on cleaning up properties around Lexington and landscaping? I mean, I touched on that before, but we've got crews. I think the crews are still in Somerset doing, kind of more fine picking up of the smaller debris so we can get units in there to do more regular mowing. And then they're going to come back and take care of the landscape beds. They're also working on irrigation right now. Do I know if association insurance pays towards windows that were blown out? And can I get someone in my unit to get new windows? I mean, we definitely believe that windows, at least that were original to the buildings, are covered under the property and wind insurance claim. I also know that your associations are looking at how best to tackle the replacement of these windows under that claim. So, at this point in time, I would not advise anybody to go out on their own to replace their windows. We're also still waiting for that adjustment process to happen with property and wind. I don't know of any association to date that has fully completed that process with the adjuster. And as we know from the flood coverage, you've got to complete that process, and that needs to be submitted to the insurance carrier. And then eventually we'll get that report that says what's covered and what amounts. So. Do they plan to scrub grout on ceramic tile after drywall installed? Yes, my understanding is the cleaning of that grout is part of the process for those that were able to save your tile. Looks like some condos are being ready for drywall with 2x4s. Do you have plumbing and electrical permits or still waiting? We don't need the permits to correct the electrical and plumbing issues we're correcting. Also, contractor, we have talked to say after drywall, he can start in 4 to 5 weeks with no idea of drywall permits. Certainly could be February before a contractor could start. I know you said Lex has never kept track of year-round TPO, but there are and soon nowhere to stay for some. So I think we've covered some of that. I mean, I think you certainly make a good point. We all know that getting contractors in normal times is always difficult, and it's going to be even more difficult now, with everybody going for that. But said, hopefully we'll have some more information to share with you on when we think the drywall process will happen, and give you a little heads up on when we're going to lift those vacate orders. So I did send in by the deadline that I would complete my unit. Are we still prohibited from staying in our unit? Do you have to have a Florida licensed contractor to install cabinets? The vacate orders are still in play for all associations. So according to that, you are prohibited from staying in your unit. My understanding is to do any work in the state of Florida, it does require a Florida licensed contractor. Yes, that's my understanding. That's not necessarily a Lexington or an association rule. That's a state of Florida rule. Is security checking everyone that is entering through the front gate? I have seen people being let in without proper passes being presented. Absolutely. I mean, we're back on our normal protocol up there. I mean, not everybody has a pass. Remember, you can enter your guest into the system, and they can check it by name. So it'd be great if you all use passes. Life would be a lot easier if everybody sent those passes to your guest. But that doesn't happen. Some people still call the front gate and let them know. After we get the drywall permits, is there enough sheetrock ordered for the 500 units? 12,000 sheets is what is on hand, not here. We have some of it here, but yes, we feel like that is sufficient. Landscaping crews doing an amazing job in Somerset. Thank you very much. I'll pass that on to them. When CJC has repaired the pipes for bathtubs and showers on Bayberry, will CJC turn on and test the water pipes? Yeah, great question. They will. They do what's called a pressure test. So once all of the pipes have been fixed and before that wall is sealed back up, they do a pressure test. That's really to make sure that the fixes they performed are satisfactory, and also to identify any other hairline breaks that maybe weren't visible at the time. So yeah, they are doing what's called a pressure test to all plumbing. Have you heard if Somerset Villas will have an open association meeting anytime soon? Yes, I have. They had one yesterday, as a matter of fact. So it was not Zoomed because we were not sure of the location. But now that the Vista room has been carpeted, we know that association meetings will happen in there, which means we can Zoom them. But they had a posted and not very well attended, but they had an open meeting yesterday here at the clubhouse. It was not a drywall question. The question referred to whether when remediation is complete, will we need individual permits for each unit's restoration? Lee County's vague. Sorry about that. I agree. There's no doubt Lee County is vague with what they put out there. We put out the restoration resources guide that had links to Lee County. My best suggestion is if you're hiring a contractor, they should have a handle on the permitting. But if you're not, you're doing it yourself, I would strongly suggest that you contact Lee County. We're going to stop short at giving any guidance to anybody doing restoration work. But we're going to direct you to Lee County to make sure you hear it from them what they say you need. Do we need permits for painting or flooring? Again, I don't think you do, but I'm going to direct you to Lee County and the resource guide that we sent out to make sure. But I know in normal times, people replace their floors and paint their walls without permits, whether that's legal or not. I don't know about that. But I don't think, but please confirm that. Has there been any additional thefts since the marble was stolen? I don't know of any marble being stolen, and I have not gotten any reports of theft to me. Anybody that has reported any sort of concern for anything that's lost, we've asked them to file a Lee County Sheriff police report. My understanding to date, we've got two police reports that have been filed on theft. Don't hold me to that. I could be wrong. It could be I wasn't notified of something, but those are the two reports that I've had so far. When restoration begins, will the contractors offer the same package for everyone, or will there be a choice of packages? For the way that I envision this going down, is there will be a contractor company assigned to each association, and they will offer a package, one package for each floor plan. Within that package, you may have some options in terms of colors, but the packages will be the same for each floor plan within that association. Has the plumbing and electric repair started in Wedgwood? Yeah, I do know plumbing. The plumbers are in Wedgwood going around fixing plumbing. So I know that for a fact. Not sure about electrical. My understanding is the replacing of the outlets will actually happen once the drywall is up. So most of the electrical repairs have been made, but the electrician prefers to put the outlets on after the drywall has been hung. So that's going to happen then. Wonder how Somerset Villas posted the meeting, did not receive notification. All the meetings are always posted on your community's bulletin boards. That's just part of our standard posting process. When we do a Zoom, then we send out an email with the Zoom link about the meeting, but we typically wouldn't send an email if there's not a Zoom link, but the meeting was posted. And I know at least 7 or 8 of you knew about it because you were here. Where are dates and times of association meetings posted? I know we had that in the Lexington link every 2 weeks, but we're just getting ready to start that back up. Let me find out where else that's posted. If Jen's listening, she can tell me if it's online somewhere. But let me find out about that, where they're actually that they have every association has a standing meeting. It's just a matter of whether they started those standing meetings again. So let me find out about that. If we replace the water lines on our first floor unit on our own dime, will water leaks in the future still be covered by the association? I can't answer that. What I can tell you is I'm pretty sure every association, when people have requested about replacing their water lines in this process, have said you cannot do that. So I understand you may think it's wise because your walls are open to do that. But the reality is it's the association's property and they make that decision. So I know every association has said, do not replace water lines. Will the package include flooring options? Yes, the packages will include everything that you need to complete your unit. Flooring, cabinets, bathroom fixtures, trim, interior doors, countertops, that's all included there. Does the plumbing repair include reinstalling of toilets? It does not. No, the plumbing repair does not include reinstalling of toilets. You mentioned you would not advise replacing windows at this point. Is that also the advice for acrylic sliders? No, acrylic sliders are different because we're almost 100% confident that acrylic sliders are not on your association's property policy because it's not original to the building. So what we've been advising is if you want to replace your acrylic sliders or if you want to replace hurricane shutters, you can proceed doing that because we don't believe that's on the policy. There we go. Meetings are posted on the bulletin boards outside of the men's and women's locker room, and Somerset Villas was posted as well. So one of our staff members provided that. Can we do a partial package? No, that's not going to be an option. I mean, these truly are packages. I mean, the reason these vendors are coming in to do this is they can do this in scale, which will provide them to be able to do it quicker. So there is no customizing of packages. So please understand that. I mean, this, your option is to do it on your own, which is definitely the way to get it done exactly how you want, or take advantage of a package. It doesn't mean you can't take advantage of a package and then come in and add to that later on down the line with your own contractor. You can certainly do that, but the packages are what the packages are. An a la carte package option would be great. I totally agree with that. But honestly, we're not going to be in the construction business. That's not what we do here. So we're going to provide you with resources to get this done. But I don't think it's realistic to think that we can offer a la carte packages to potentially what the survey reports is up to 200 people that aren't interested in hiring their own contractor. Just being realistic on what's doable and not doable. The next Somerset Villa meeting is going to be December 12th at 10 a.m. So there you go. It would be better if an email was sent out by the association. Again, we send out an email with a Zoom link, and I would expect the December 12th to be on Zoom. So we will send that email out, I'm sure. When talking about sheetrock, they broke the flange on the toilet. Will CJC fix that? Yeah, again, all plumbing issues will be corrected before they're out of there and put the sheetrock up. I have no screens on my lanai. All have been ripped out by wind, so cannot replace until the outside railings have been fixed or replaced. Yeah, all your associations have issues with the outside lanai railings. Again, that's going to be part of that property and wind coverage. So they're just trying to work through that process of getting that adjusted so they can proceed with fixing that. Are lanai screens and doors covered under the master flood policy? I don't know that yet. So we do not know the answer to that one. Can we tear out ceramic tile flooring and use that money for cleaning on new tile? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you decide you want to tear out your floors when you get to restoration, you can certainly do that. Depending on what the insurance coverages are, you know, if they gave you quote unquote money to clean the tiles in the adjuster report, then you could use that towards new floors. That would be up to you. Will any salvage materials be used in the package deal? We're going to confirm that, but from my discussions with these guys, the reality is it's way too difficult to try and figure out what was salvaged, what wasn't. There's some things that were saved that have chips out of them. So my understanding is they're going to put these packaged together as if everything is new. Definitely your countertops probably aren't, most of your countertops didn't make it, so they're not going to be in there. Where I have seen some successful salvage is maybe on your sinks or your fixtures. But from my understanding, they're going to put these packaged together that's all inclusive because you will have coverage for that. Even though they salvaged your sink when they took out your vanity in your bathroom, the insurance coverage is going to be there for a new sink and a new vanity. So it's easier for them to do this as a package, order these things in bulk, because you're going to take advantage of those price breaks. When will the garages in Sutton Walk be inspected and cleaned out? I cleaned out mine, but about a third of the garages looked like the day after the storm. Yeah, I think we reported before that we're still waiting on confirmation on what the insurance coverage is for those garages. We've gotten a couple of conflicting reports in terms of coverage. So we've advised folks in Sutton Walk, if you have the wherewithal, if you want to hire out somebody to clean out your garage, you can certainly do that and hang on to your receipts in case there's coverage there. Any update on the Sutton Walk pool? I gave that at the start of this, but they're in the process of power washing that today. If walls were damaged above the 4 feet level, including tile, will CJC compensate us now that it's part of our responsibility? On the walls, on the drywall, and I have seen this before, especially for those of you that have that kind of that bullnose corner edging. They're going to replace all that bullnose if they've gotten drywall that through the removal process broke higher than 4 feet, that they're going to patch that up. On the tile, I'm not certain about that, because the reality is you're going to probably end up pulling out all of that tile anyways. I can't think of anybody that's going to be able to match their tile. So I don't see anything being done on the tile. Like if a piece of tile broke above 4 feet while they were trying to cut the other tile, I don't see them trying to fix that, because that tile is going to get pulled. But on the drywall, absolutely, those walls will be returned to you 100% ready to go. So if there's damage above 4 feet, they'll rectify that before they turn it over. I am out of questions right now, so I'll give you another minute or two if you've got anything else. Mirrors in our bathrooms appear to be missing. If they were broken, will CJC replace them? I can tell you a lot of mirrors didn't make it through the demo, but our understanding is there should be coverage. Then the adjuster should have noted that, and there should be coverage on those mirrors, but we have to wait to find that out. But I can tell you, if a mirror broke, that was the norm. It's difficult to get mirrors, especially those that are glued to walls, off walls. They're not going to be replacing the mirrors, no. Still waiting wood floor removal in Waterford. Any chance we can keep the existing floor? I haven't seen that with any engineered floor, wood flooring that's been able to be kept. I have to think, and I know on some wood floors that are glued down, they use a certain piece of equipment, and I think they have 4 of those pieces of equipment that kind of float around. So I have to think that they just haven't got over there with that equipment yet, but I don't know of any wood flooring that's been salvageable to date. But I could be wrong, but that's just what I know in terms of what I've seen so far. If you don't need to replace your floor, can the package deal exclude the flooring cost? We did talk with them about the fact that there is some of you that have tile. So yes, I've asked those vendors to consider a potential deduct on flooring if you keep your tile. So that would be one thing that would change from the packages, because they're not going to make you tear up your tile floors. There would just be a deduct on the package for whatever the cost was for that flooring in that area where you have tile, if that makes sense. So I can see that happening. Since insurance is covering faucets, will toilets be? I don't think so. I think the toilets are all going to be salvageable. But again, there's no way to know what's going to actually be on those reports until we've seen them. Has the Wedgwood Association adjuster been to every first floor unit? My understanding is the flood adjusting process is complete for all units. That's what I think. We don't know that until we get the reports in, but my understanding is, yes, all the units have been adjusted. So will we get a better price using the packages? I mean, obviously them doing things on scale is gonna offer some price discounts, but also understand that when you're talking about restoration, pricing could also be the level of finishes that you want. So, we're asking these vendors to come in at a level of finish that's above builder grade, but it's going to be significantly down from something custom. So in terms of better pricing, I think from a cost perspective, this is probably the least expensive way to get things done, but you're giving up having any options. So if you want options, you're going to probably pay more and you're going to go your own direction. But my hope, yes, is these packages are at a price point that's attractive to a lot of you all. And the big thing is it's turnkey. You don't have to worry about it in terms of making a lot of selections or working with different subcontractors. It'll be taken care of for you. So how will the adjusters know how to value replacing floors? That's a good question. Some of them were able to see samples. Others were able to write in engineered floor. Again, I think we need to wait for these adjuster reports to come back, and that's part of the process is for owners to verify that. So do we need to send Lexington a list of items lost, or are they aware of our loss regarding AC, dishwasher? Yeah, you don't need to send a list for any of that. I mean, the AC, dishwasher, refridge, you don't need to send a list for any of that. If you go to replace them, hang on to your receipts. We don't need a list of cabinets and lanai and that sort of thing. So no, there's nothing we need from you in terms of loss. Ceramic tile is damaged with 4 tiles broken. Who determines if it has to be removed? Does CJC do that as part of remediation? Unless CJC was able to determine that water got under the tile, they're not going to mess with your tile. So if you've got cracked tile, that would have to be taken care of in restoration. Your Sutton Walk garage has been cleaned. Can you park your car in that? Yes, you can. You can park your car in your garage if it's clean. Sutton Walk roof repair. The only update I have is that your association signed the contract to get that underway. which then allows the contractor to start ordering materials and mobilizing. I don't have a start date on that, but I'm pretty sure, hopefully I'm not misspeaking, but they've already done that. Is demolition completed in Somerset? No, it's not. It's ongoing in there. I know they started on a Stockbridge Drive, worked over to East Bay Circle, over to Bristol Bend, and then they'll be over on Middlebrook. So they have not completed that. Yeah, good point here. Somebody's asking me to remind you about insurance coverage. I mentioned this, I know, in the last couple of Zooms. It's really just to set the expectation. I mean, I've been through, and sure you all have other insurance claims, whether it's personal or through your business. The reality is insurance never makes you 100% full, and it certainly doesn't pay you more than what you're due. So I think, there needs to be a level of expectation in terms of coverage here, in that it's going to be a percent of what it's probably going to cost in total to restore these areas. It's just the reality. Also, even though they update pricing every month with insurance companies and what they use, which is called Xactimate, the reality is inflation and market conditions are driving prices up as well. So, but yeah, I think the expectation needs to be that, it's going to be very rare that somebody is made 100% whole through the insurance claims process, but that's how the insurance claims process works really with anything. A Sheffield unit, can I contract with my local flooring, carpeting, tile company to replace it when the time comes and still get a supposed package? Again, I mean, I'm sure I'll have to repeat this a few more times, but a package is a package. There's not going to be a lot of customization to that. The one thing that I mentioned that is a customization is potentially getting a deduct if you already have tile floor. But other than that, these companies are not going to entertain individual requests, because that is more subcontracting, and they're not going to be able to use their scale to do this in mass. So I'm going to say probably not an option to go get your own flooring, but then buy the package. Will cabinet net packages be built to the original 1998 specs? God, I hope they're not. No, they're not going to be built to the 98 specs. In terms of materials, it'll be certainly better than that. Also, what will happen with upper cabinet doors? How will they match that? I've talked to all the vendors and said that I think their package needs to include both upper and lower cabinets, because I don't think anybody wants non-matching cabinets. So their package will include both uppers and lowers. I skipped over a question about CJC damaging ceramic tile. Sorry if I skipped over that one. What if CJC cracked the ceramic tile? If that's the case, we've asked folks, you can send us an email and we'll note your file. I can't tell you how that's going to play out. I just don't have an answer for that, to be honest with you. But you can send it to us, and we're keeping a master spreadsheet on anything regarding your unit, regardless of what it's been. So we'll be happy to note that for you, but I don't have an answer on what happens in that situation. And I'm sorry if I skipped your question. To talk about, okay, the question I see, the question you asked about cabinets in 1996. I don't think that they don't have that information. So I don't think that they're going to make the cabinets the exact same size as the 96 original cabinets. They're going to basically spec out what would be, current, but also what they'd have availability for in manufacturing. So I don't think they're more worried about the space that the cabinets go in, as opposed to maybe the height or the width of each cabinet drawer or whatever. So I think they're going to be different. That's my take. Is tear out completed at Somerset? No, it's not completed at Somerset. Hopefully I didn't lose my space here. I think insurance should adjust for inflation. Mine did when I had a new roof installed. Let's hope that's the case. I don't know about that. Are the window replacements going to meet the now building code and not the original code of the buildings? I think if that's required, it will. I don't know anything about the new building codes yet, though, but I would think it would have to. Did I negotiate plywood? I'm not negotiating anything on these packages, folks. Vendors are leading the way on this, so I'm not doing that. I mean, I think there's a level of quality that you all expect, and so this isn't completely price driven, but I'm not negotiating what's in the packages. I'm letting them kind of give us an idea of what's out there in terms of availability, and then presenting it to you. How do we find out about association meetings if we're not there to see them? I think I mentioned, I know in the link, they put them in there, but I'm going to ask our front desk staff to make sure that association meetings are listed in the weekly Tuesday email. So that way you're seeing it every Tuesday before the link starts back up. Just making a note. CJC damaged a new vanity, not cabinet. It's a standalone in the hall bathroom. How to report that and compensation for cost. It was installed in July. Again, I can tell you what I told the other person that commented. I mean, if you want to give us that information via email with your unit number, we'll note that. But I don't have any information on any sort of compensation or determining the damage. I don't have that information for you at this point. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all. We'll probably do another one on Friday, but hope you all have a good day, and thanks for coming out.